Sebastian Hale had never imagined that looking after a child could be difficult. After all, he himself had been raised by his older sister. It wasn't until his sister, Claire Whitfield, thrust her 4-year-old daughter into his arms and dragged her suitcase toward the door that he realized he might have been a little naive. "Sis, wait." Holding the little girl in one arm, Sebastian chased her to the doorway. Claire didn't look back. 3 days. Just 3 days. There's food in the fridge, and I've already called her out of preschool. Remember to braid her hair. I don't know how to braid hair. Learn. The door slammed shut before he could get another word out. Sebastian stood there for a moment in the sudden quiet of the hallway, the suitcase-shaped absence of his sister still ringing in his ears. Then he looked down at the little girl in his arms. Poppy was biting her finger, her big eyes blinking up at him, entirely unbothered by the fact that her mother had just vanished. "Uncle. Where's Mommy?" "On a business trip." "Where's Daddy?" "Also on a business trip." "Then who's going to play with me today?" Sebastian took a deep breath. "Me." Poppy tilted her head, considered this, then reached out a chubby hand and patted his cheek. "Okay. You'll have to do." His lip twitched. A 4-year-old, and she already had more attitude than his boss. Over the next 2 hours, Sebastian experienced something close to a living hell. Poppy complained the steamed egg custard was too bland, the noodles he switched to were too sour, the plain rice porridge she ate 3 bites of and abandoned entirely, because, as she informed him, the bowl was blue, and she only ate from pink bowls. He rifled through the entire kitchen until he unearthed a pink one, and only then was she satisfied. After eating, she wanted cartoons. 10 minutes later, she wanted to draw. 5 minutes into drawing, she wanted blocks. 3 minutes into building, the tower collapsed, and she burst into tears, and it took a small eternity and a stuffed rabbit to distract her out of it. He collapsed onto the sofa afterward, feeling as though he'd run a marathon. His phone buzzed with a message from his sister. "How's it going?" "Still alive." "Doing okay," he typed back. Then he looked up and saw Poppy running circles around the living room, holding something high over her head, his work badge, fished from his coat pocket without his noticing. She struck a pose in front of the hallway mirror, narrating to her own reflection. "I'm Sebastian Hale. I'm going to work. I'm going to a meeting." He laughed, grabbed his phone, and snapped a photo, Poppy in her puffy pink dress, holding the badge up to the light, giggling uncontrollably, his photo and name and employee number printed clearly across it. Without thinking much of it, he posted the picture to his feed with the caption, "First day of watching my niece. This little tyrant has way too much energy. I think I'm about to collapse." He tossed the phone aside and went back to wrangling Poppy, unaware the post was already spreading at an absurd speed. The first to see it was his teammate Trevor Banks, slacking off at his desk. Trevor's brain skipped clean past the word niece and landed only on the photo and the badge. "Sebastian has a kid." "Since when?" "The kid looks about 4, so when exactly did he become a father?" He screenshotted it and fired it into the department chat. "Guys. Explosive news. Sebastian has a kid." The chat exploded. "Wait, isn't he single? He's never once mentioned being married, and the kid's already 4, which means at least 5 years ago. Holy crap, no wonder he never comes to department dinners." The rumor grew wings. Within 10 minutes it had traveled from the project department to marketing, from marketing to HR, from HR to finance, and within half an hour it had reached every one of Meridian Group's 32 floors, from the ground floor reception desk to the executive suite at the top. Sebastian Hale, the project manager who'd spent 3 years cultivating the image of a committed bachelor, apparently had a 4-year-old daughter. Theories multiplied like wildfire: a secret relationship in another city, an ex who dropped the kid on his doorstep, a marriage HR somehow didn't have on file, a woman he was too embarrassed to bring home. Someone started a forum thread titled "Shocking, Sebastian Hale of Project Department 3 is secretly a father," and it hit 3,000 views in 15 minutes. Sebastian remained completely unaware, sweating through his 7th attempt at braiding Poppy's hair. It was still crooked. "Uncle, you're so clumsy. Mommy never gets it crooked. Your mom's had 4 years of practice. This is my first day. A little patience." Poppy folded her arms with the gravity of a tiny adult. "Fine. One more chance." He bit down on a hair tie and tried an eighth time. On the sofa behind him, his phone buzzed relentlessly, notifications climbing past 99. He ignored it. 32 floors up, Elena Vance was reviewing quarterly financial reports in the CEO's office, a charcoal gray jacket over her shoulders, her hair pulled back to a sharp, defined jawline, her presence cool as ice. A knock came at the door. "Come in." Paula Simmons pushed it open, her expression oddly complicated. "President Vance, there's something. I'm not sure I should tell you." Elena didn't look up. "Speak." Paula held out her phone. Elena's gaze moved from the little girl's face to the badge, to the name printed on it, to the caption. She set down her pen. Her knuckles went white around it. "The whole building's talking," Paula said carefully. "They're saying Manager Hale." Elena said nothing. She stared at the photo for 10 full seconds, then stood, chair sliding back, and walked out at a pace that carried its own quiet menace. "President Vance, where are you going?" "Cancel everything on my calendar this afternoon." "But the investor meeting at 3. "Cancel it." 32 floors down to the parking level took 40 seconds. She strode to her car, a black luxury sedan, and started the engine, 2:17 p.m. on the dashboard clock, her nails digging into the leather of the wheel. Only one thought occupied her mind: Sebastian Hale, you had better have an explanation. By the time Sebastian got Poppy down for her nap, 3 stories and 2 nursery rhymes later, he checked his phone for the first time in hours and froze. 237 unread messages. 14 missed calls. "Trevor, brother, since when do you have a kid?" Melissa from marketing, "Congrats, she's adorable." Diane from HR, "Do you need to update your marital status on file?" His lip twitched. "That's my niece." He pulled up his own post and understood at once, there was nothing in the frame but Poppy and the badge, no context, and his caption had simply said watching. Of course people had drawn the obvious conclusion. He tried to edit it, meaning to add that she was his niece, but his thumb slipped and hit delete instead. The post vanished, the screenshots did not. New comments rolled in immediately, he deleted it. Guilty conscience. Definitely afraid of his wife seeing it. Sebastian tossed the phone aside and stared at the ceiling. It was over. Explaining now would only make it worse. He'd clear it up in person tomorrow. He stood to get water. The doorbell rang, once, twice, and on the third ring came quick footsteps, then a beep as the digital lock disengaged from outside. Only 3 people knew that code: himself, his sister, and one other person. The door opened. Elena stood in the entryway, a few strands of hair loose from the rush, her breathing shallow. Her eyes fixed on him, tangled with anger, hurt, and underneath it, the sharp sting of betrayal. "What are you doing here?" She didn't answer. She brushed past him, her gaze sweeping the blocks on the coffee table, the pink backpack, the crayons, then the bedroom door, slightly ajar, a small shape curled beneath the covers. Her footsteps stopped. She stared for 3 seconds before turning back. "Speak," she said, soft enough to send a chill down his spine. "Whose child is this?" "She's my." Elena let out a cold, humorless laugh. "Sebastian. Do you think I've never seen your sister's daughter? Claire's daughter is 2. Not 4. He froze, and then understood. The last time Elena had seen Poppy, 2 years ago, she really had been 2. In the time since, the child had grown enough that Elena hadn't recognized her at all. "She really is my sister's daughter." "It's Poppy, you've met her. She's just grown." "You call this just grown?" Her voice climbed. "The difference between a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old is a different face. Children grow fast, Elena." She stepped closer, half a head shorter but somehow filling the whole room. "If you have another woman, another child, tell me now and I won't do anything. I won't make a scene, I won't ask you to explain yourself, I'll just walk away and let you keep your life. But if you're lying to me," her voice trembled, nails digging into her palms. He reached for her hand. She flinched back. His hand froze midair. They stared at each other, the air seemed to solidify. Then a soft, sleepy voice from the bedroom. "Mm." Poppy patted out, rubbing her eyes, and when she caught sight of Elena, her whole face lit up. Pretty lady. Elena's body went rigid. Poppy wrapped both arms around Sebastian's leg. Uncle, who's the pretty lady? Uncle. The word landed like a key turning in a lock, dismantling every wall on Elena's face at once. She stood frozen, saying nothing. Sebastian couldn't help the corner of his mouth curling upward. Believe me now. The tips of Elena's ears turned red at a visible speed, every trace of danger draining into flustered, cornered embarrassment. Watching her, the knot in his chest finally eased. President Vance. Were you jealous just now? Shut up. Did you really think I had a secret kid? I said shut up. The fierceness in her eyes gave way entirely to guilt. Poppy tugged his trouser leg, sensing without understanding that the pretty lady seemed shy. Uncle, is she your girlfriend? Not a girlfriend. A beat. She's my wife. Poppy's eyes went wide. Uncle has a wife. Elena turned to leave. Sebastian caught her wrist. Don't go. Let go. Sit down. I'll explain. There's nothing to explain. I already know. Let go. Why is your face red? It's not. Even your ears are red. Poppy sat on the floor, watching them tug at each other, and calmly pulled out a biscuit. Crunch, crunch, better than television. In the end, Elena never made it out the door. She was steered onto the sofa, and Poppy climbed up beside her and offered a piece of the biscuit. Auntie, have some. Elena looked at the biscuit, damp with the child's saliva, and took it. She didn't eat it, but she took it. Sebastian returned with a glass of water. My sister and her husband are away for 3 days. They asked me to watch Poppy. I took the day off, posted a photo, and then. You don't need to explain any further, Elena said, gaze sliding away. You don't know what you looked like just now, he said, crouching in front of her. She didn't respond, but the glass in her hand nearly hit him in the head. He caught it with quick reflexes. All right, all right. Don't you have a meeting this afternoon? Her expression stiffened. Cancelled. No time to explain, she added, when he raised an eyebrow, and turned her face away with a meaning that was unmistakable. Don't ask. He didn't press, though he understood perfectly well. After seeing that photo, she hadn't attended her own meeting. She'd driven straight here instead, 40 minutes, without delaying a single second. A warmth rose in his chest. He ruffled her hair. She swatted his hand away without any real force behind it. Poppy, chocolate-smeared fingers hovering near Elena's sleeve, asked, Auntie, will you draw with me? Elena took a breath. All right. Sebastian watched from the doorway, nearly laughing. Elena Vance, CEO of Meridian Group, coldest face in the building, kneeling on the floor being bossed around by a 4-year-old, making an absolute mess of a rabbit drawing. Auntie, your drawing is ugly, Poppy said. This ear's crooked, and a bunny's eyes are round, not triangles. Sebastian laughed without restraint until Elena shot him a look that promised consequences. He reined it in, though the corners of his mouth refused to fully cooperate. The afternoon passed peacefully, but the matter was far from finished, because Sebastian had underestimated the persistence of Grant Foster, vice president of Meridian Group. Grant was 34, the son of the company's second-largest shareholder, and the whole building knew he'd spent 2 years pursuing Elena. Flowers, cars, designer bags, company shares, every one of them refused with the same line, the office is not the place to develop a private relationship. He'd told himself that persistence would eventually win her. That afternoon his assistant sent him the screenshot, along with the note that President Vance had cancelled every meeting and left looking furious. Grant barely registered the child in the photo. His attention snagged on the reaction. Why would a random employee's post send the CEO storming out mid-afternoon? He pulled Sebastian's file, 28, project manager, 3 years, single, and thought back to last month's quarterly meeting, when Elena had singled out Department 3 for praise while Sebastian stood at the podium. At the time he'd thought nothing of it. The way she'd looked at him had been different from how she looked at anyone else. He grabbed his coat. Where does Sebastian Hale live? 40 minutes later he parked near Ashford Court and spotted a black luxury sedan directly outside Building B, Elena's car. He didn't get out. He sat and watched, hands tightening slowly on the wheel, for 20 minutes. At 6:10, the entrance opened. Elena walked out in flats, blazer over one arm, hair down, a little girl skipping beside her. Sebastian followed with a bag of trash, saying something that made the girl turn back to make a face at him. 3 people, walking out like any ordinary family. Elena buckled the child into her booster seat while Sebastian leaned in to help, then straightened and reached out to tuck a loose strand of hair behind Elena's ear, easy, natural, unthinking, as if he'd done it 10,000 times before. Grant closed his eyes. He didn't need any more confirmation than that. The next morning, Sebastian brought Poppy to the office, no other option, with her excused from preschool and his sister not yet back. She'd clamped onto his leg and refused to be left with a neighbor. "I want to go to work with you." "You can't bring kids to the office." "Then why don't you work at home?" "Because I don't. I want to go." Eventually he gave in, dressing her in a puffy pink outfit, hair in 2 crooked buns, a strawberry backpack stuffed with crayons and cookies. "Once we're inside, you have to be good. No running, no shouting." "I understand." "Do you, really?" "Really?" Half doubting her, he took her hand into the lobby, where the receptionist's eyes lit up the moment she spotted Poppy. "Manager Hale, is this the child from the photo?" "My niece," Sebastian said flatly, and got a look in return that said, quite plainly, "Sure, whatever you say, we all know the truth anyway." The elevator carried them up, and when the doors opened on the project department floor, 7 or 8 colleagues were already waiting in the hallway, phones half raised. "They're here." "Oh my God, she's so cute, Sebastian, can I hold her?" Poppy, startled by the commotion, shrank behind his leg for all of 3 seconds, until someone produced a lollipop, at which point she abandoned all shyness, stepped out with total confidence, accepted it, and chirped, "Thank you, big sister," to a chorus of us that swept the hallway. Sebastian pressed a hand to his forehead. This wasn't coming to work, it was an exhibition. He settled her on his office sofa with crayons. "Draw here. Not on the walls. You're so naggy, uncle." 10 minutes hadn't passed before Trevor slipped in. "Brother Sebastian, the new theory going around is that you have a childhood sweetheart wife, married 5 years and hiding it." Sebastian's mouth stopped. "Who made that up?" "No idea. A dozen versions are floating around." "That's nonsense." "I know. Don't you want to just clear it up?" "No need. No one would believe me even if I explained. Once my sister's back for Poppy, it'll clear itself up." Trevor hesitated, then added, "One more thing, some people say President Vance went to your place yesterday after canceling her meetings." Sebastian's fingers paused on the keyboard. "What are you trying to say?" "Nothing. Just asking." Trevor glanced at his expression, calm, too calm for someone merely reacting to gossip, and sensibly let it drop. At 10:30 an internal email arrived from Grant, Q3 proposal discussion. Conference room B, 32nd floor, 2 p.m. Manager Hale, please attend. Sebastian had always reported directly to the CEO's office. Since when did a vice president personally schedule a private meeting with him? He had a fairly good idea what this was really about. At 1:50 he handed Poppy to a colleague in the next cubicle and rode up with his notebook. Grant was already seated at the head of the table, a coffee untouched before him, and gestured for Sebastian to sit without a word. Manager Hale. "Mr. Foster, the Q3 proposal is finalized. If there's anything to adjust." "I didn't call you here to discuss the proposal." Grant's gaze landed on his face. "You and Elena Vance." The air seemed to leave the room. Sebastian's expression didn't shift. "I don't quite understand what you mean." "You understand perfectly. Yesterday afternoon Elena cancelled every meeting and drove to Ashford Court. She stayed at your place over 3 hours. When she came out, she was holding a little girl's hand, and you opened the car door for her. I want to know what your relationship is." Sebastian was quiet a few seconds, then smiled, offering no explanation at all. "Did you follow her, Mr. Foster?" "I happened to see. Ashford Court is 40 minutes from the office. You happened to be passing by." Neither backed down. "I've known Elena 7 years, Grant said. I showed her the ropes when she first joined. I've spent 2 years pursuing her, everyone knows it. She's never accepted anyone. So I want to know by what right." Sebastian held his gaze. Because she's willing. Grant's expression froze, as if struck exactly where it hurt most. Sebastian stood, tucking his notebook under his arm, and paused at the door without turning back. I respect what you feel, Mr. Foster. But some things aren't decided by who got there first. You already know, in your heart, who she chose. The door closed. Grant sat alone, staring at the cold coffee as the sunlight crept another inch across the floor. His hand tightened and loosened on the table, again and again, until finally he closed his eyes and let out a long breath. Back at his desk, Sebastian found Poppy eating pudding on a colleague's lap, a ring of caramel around her mouth. His mind, though, was elsewhere. Grant knew now. Whatever remained of the secret couldn't stay hidden much longer. 3 years. He and Elena had been secretly married for 3 years, telling no one, because Elena was the CEO and Sebastian worked under her, and if it came out, it would invite governance questions and endless suspicion. She wasn't afraid of any of that, she simply hadn't wanted him to carry the weight of it. Once you make VP, I'll go public, she'd told him, and he understood exactly what she meant. She didn't want anyone saying he'd climbed on her back. So for 3 years he'd worked his way up on merit alone. Through evaluations she made harsher for him than for anyone else, building him a record no one could question. He just hadn't expected the reveal to come this way, a careless post, a misread photo, an accident. Whatever, he thought. Let it come. Grant knows, he texted Elena. Read. Then, let him. Classic Elena, domineering, decisive, entirely indifferent to what anyone thought. So, do we keep hiding, or not? Do you want to go public? Up to you. Copying you. Learned it from my wife. Silence, and then a single emoji, a cat rolling its eyes. Sebastian laughed out loud and set the phone down. But some things, once said, can't be unsaid. Grant didn't let it rest. The next day a rumor circulated among senior staff, specific enough to be damaging. 3 years, 2 promotions, resources tilted toward Department 3, Elena's car parked outside his building overnight. It had only been an afternoon, but rumors rarely need logic, only a spark in dry kindling, and a female president who'd risen to the top at 26 over a room of executives twice her age had never been short on kindling. Within 2 days it had swept the company. On the third morning, the elevator conversation stopped the moment Sebastian stepped in. Trevor sat beside him, expression heavy. Someone posted anonymously on the forum, the improper relationship between an executive and a subordinate. No names, but detailed. Anyone with eyes knows who they mean. Has it been taken down? IT deleted it, but screenshots are everywhere. The board's heard too. Does Elena know? She should by now. Paula came in hard on IT this morning. If this reaches the board, Trevor started. Let them make a scene, Sebastian said flatly. The innocent have nothing to fear. What Trevor didn't know was that Sebastian had already received a message, emergency board meeting tomorrow. I'm going public. What do you need me to do? Nothing. Just sit there. 3 years is enough. He knew exactly what she meant, 3 years of careful distance in the office, of watching Grant chase her with flowers she could refuse but never explain, of wanting to hold his hand in public and settling for stolen corridors instead. A misunderstanding had become the fuse for her decision. Okay. The emergency board meeting convened in the largest conference room on the 32nd floor, an oval walnut table, 7 directors and 2 independent directors. Grant sat third chair on the left, his expression steady, though the pen spinning between his fingers moved twice as fast as usual. Director Whitman leaned back, reading glasses low, a stack of documents in hand. At 2 o'clock exactly, Elena walked in wearing a slim white suit, hair in a low ponytail, heels striking the floor in an even rhythm. Paula followed with a folder. She didn't take the head seat. I've called this meeting for one reason. Regarding the rumors circulating this week, I'm here to give a formal response. The room fell silent enough that the hum of the air conditioning was audible. She laid a document flat on the table and slid it to the center, a certificate with a red cover, 2 photographs side by side, Elena Vance and Sebastian Hale, registration date 3 years prior. Director Whitman's glasses nearly slipped off his nose. Down the table, a coffee lid clattered from someone's fingers. Grant didn't move at all, the color drained slowly from his face as his pen slid off the table edge, and he didn't reach for it. Sebastian Hale and I registered our marriage legally 3 years ago, Elena said. We kept it private to avoid unnecessary impact on this company's governance. As for his promotions, every review, every rating, is on file with Human Resources and has gone through the standard audit process. If any director has doubts, I can pull it right now for comparison. As for my personal life, it has no bearing on my judgment for this company. 3 years of results speak for themselves. She closed the folder. Any questions? Director Whitman cleared his throat. Married 3 years. And that child in the photo? Not mine. My husband's niece. The rumors are all misunderstandings. Ah. Congratulations. I thought as much, actually, Director Osborne put in. Manager Hale did excellent work on the regional project last quarter. The point is she's been married 3 years and none of us knew, another director said. Is there a problem with keeping something private? It's her life. I suppose that's fair. The tension dissolved gradually into gossipy fascination, faces shifting from gravity to intrigue, voices dropping into speculation about how the two of them had ever managed to hide it, how they must have looked at each other across boardrooms all this time and given nothing away. Only Grant said nothing, staring at the date on the certificate, right around when he'd first started pursuing her. The first bouquet he'd sent had been white daisies. Thank you, but I don't need them, she'd said, and he'd assumed she was simply reserved, that persistence and sincerity would eventually change her mind. 2 years. Over 700 days. Countless refusals, and every time he'd told himself to try once more. It turned out that from the very beginning, she'd already belonged to someone else. He rose to his feet, face pale but voice steady. Congratulations, President Vance. 4 words. He gathered his documents and walked out, the door closing softly behind him. In the empty corridor, his shoes clicked against the marble as though he were walking on cotton. At the elevator he stopped, watched the floor numbers tick downward, and rubbed his face hard, as if trying to wipe an expression away. The doors slid shut, he leaned against the wall and let out a very long breath. The news spread faster than anyone could have predicted. By 4 in the afternoon the entire building knew, and the corridors of Department 3 never stopped talking. I knew it, President Vance always treated Manager Hale differently. You told me before they barely even interacted. That was the act. 3 years of secret marriage, and they pulled it off completely. Well, it's out in the open now. Anyone still gossiping is just bitter. Sebastian sat at his desk, listening with a calm expression, Poppy asleep on the sofa beside him. Trevor burst in for what had to be the 6th time. Brother Sebastian, you're actually President Vance's husband. How did you keep that secret? Every time you called yourself a bachelor at dinners, what were you even thinking? What to have for dinner? Trevor looked personally wounded. I used to feel sorry for you, I even set you up on blind dates, do you remember? Do you know what one of them said about you afterward? She said your conditions were decent, but you were too wooden, probably hard to find a match. I know. My wife knew about it too, at the time. I told her. Sebastian remembered that night clearly, coming home and mentioning it while Elena scrolled through financial reports on her tablet without even glancing up. Go ahead, she'd said, but you'll be sleeping on the couch when you get back. He hadn't gone, of course. He gave Trevor the simplified version. She said whatever. Whatever, and you believed her. I'm not stupid. You've lived like an undercover operative for 3 years. Is this how you treat 3 years of friendship? I'll buy you barbecue. Then I forgive you. After Trevor left, a message came from Elena, meeting's over. You're cooking tonight. There's no food in the house. Then go buy some. I'll pick her up after work, she added, when he mentioned Poppy. Sebastian looked at the exchange for a moment. This was how it had always been between them, no grand romance, no rooms full of roses. Just, you buy the groceries, I cook. You wash the dishes, I mop the floor. You work late, I leave a light on. Mundane. Real. Like water, flavorless, but impossible to live without. Sweet and sour ribs tonight, he typed. Add a side of hot and sour shredded potatoes. Okay. At 6:30, Elena's car pulled up outside Ashford Court. She'd driven herself. Poppy came out with her hand in Sebastian's, hair in two crooked pigtails, unmistakably his handiwork. Elena crouched down, examined them in silence, then undid them and started over. "You're hopeless. 3 days of practice for this." She wasn't cooperating, Poppy protested. "I was cooperating. It's Uncle's hands that are clumsy." The corner of Elena's mouth twitched. In a few quick motions she finished 2 neat buns. "Pretty Auntie is much better at this," Poppy said, satisfied, and Sebastian shut his mouth and said nothing. They climbed into the car. "Where to?" "The market. Fresher ribs than the supermarket." Poppy sang tunelessly from the back seat, some preschool song entirely off-key. "Your singing has a lot of personality," Sebastian said. "Does it sound good?" "One of a kind." Elena caught his eye in the mirror with a look that said plainly, "You have a way with words." At the market, Poppy insisted on walking herself, refusing to be carried, her small pink shoes stepping carefully over the damp ground as she took in everything with wide-eyed curiosity, the stacked crates of greens, the fishmongers' shouted prices, the smell of ginger and cut watermelon. Sebastian trailed behind with the bags while Elena walked ahead, choosing vegetables with total seriousness, the CEO of Meridian Group, an executive with an 8-figure salary, inspecting potatoes like she was reviewing a contract, picking one up, giving it a squeeze, setting it down. "This one's sprouted. That one's too small. Why are you buying potatoes like you're signing off on due diligence?" Sebastian asked. "I take what goes in my body seriously. You never inspect the staff cafeteria this closely. Are the staff meals as good as your cooking?" His hands paused, then he smiled. A compliment. It had taken 3 years to learn that when she said something like that so casually, she meant every word. She rarely said delicious outright. The most she'd do was finish every grain in her bowl, or suggest the next day they make the same thing again. He bought ribs, potatoes, scallions, tofu. Poppy stopped at the fruit stand. "Uncle, I want strawberries. And cherries. And that's already 2 things. 3's the limit. Then mangoes." He checked the price, expensive, off-season, and bought 2 without hesitating. His wife loved mangoes too. On the drive home, Poppy sat with a bag of strawberries, having already snuck 3, the corners of her mouth stained red. Elena caught sight of her in the mirror and, out of nowhere, spoke. "Sebastian. Should we have one of our own, someday?" He turned to look at her. She kept her eyes on the road, expression giving nothing away, except her fingers had tightened on the wheel. "Do you want to?" "I'm asking you." "You go first." "I asked first." He leaned back, watching the streetlights slide past. "I want to. But no rush. No rush either way. We'll talk about it once you've decided." "Uncle, what are you and Pretty Auntie talking about?" Poppy asked from the back. "About giving you a little brother or sister someday." "I want a sister. Brothers are too loud." The corner of Elena's mouth finally gave way completely, and under the passing streetlights, Sebastian saw it clearly. He reached over and laced his fingers through her free hand. She didn't pull away, and she didn't squeeze back either, but her ears turned red again. The light ahead turned green. The road was clear. 3 days later, Claire and her husband, Daniel, returned from their trip and came by that evening to collect Poppy. The little girl clung to Elena's leg. "I don't want to go home. I want to live with Pretty Auntie." "You little traitor," Claire said, speechless. "I was gone 3 days and you're already trading me in. Pretty Auntie bought me a dress, and strawberry cake, and taught me to draw." Claire glanced at Elena, composed over her tea. "Sorry, Claire. Looks like I've stolen your daughter's heart. Please. You'll understand once you have one of your own." The room went quiet for 2 full seconds. Sebastian's hand paused on his glass, Elena's tea stopped halfway to her lips. Claire's eyes darted between them, a knowing grin spreading. "Oh ho. Is there something brewing here?" "Take your daughter and go home, sis," Sebastian said, deadpan. "Don't change the subject. You've been married 3 years now, isn't it about time you considered?" Fine, fine. She threw up her hands and crouched to peel Poppy off Elena's lap. Poppy kept twisting back to wave as she was carried out. "Bye, pretty auntie. I want to come back." The door closed, and the apartment fell suddenly silent, 3 days of chaos reduced to a few stray crayons and a half-eaten bag of cookies. Sebastian began tidying. Elena watched him from the sofa. "About what your sister said." He turned, 3 crayons in hand. "I'm serious." He set the crayons down, sat beside her, their shoulders touching. "Then let's be serious about it." She didn't reply, but she leaned her weight into him. Outside, the night had fully settled, the living room lamp casting a warm, soft glow. Neither said anything more, because nothing more needed to be said. 3 years of secrecy, 1 day of revelation. Whatever came would come, and what couldn't be avoided wouldn't be stopped. As long as he was there, it was enough. As long as she was there, it was enough. That was all that mattered. The next morning, a pinned announcement appeared on the company forum. A formal statement regarding recent false information circulating within the company. Sebastian Hale of Project Department 3 and I are legally married, and have been for 3 years. Any statements inconsistent with fact have been forwarded to legal for review. We ask all colleagues to return their focus to work. Elena Vance. The company exploded, louder than anything before it. The forum server reportedly froze for 3 minutes. The president posted this herself. "Sebastian, you absolute legend. We genuinely believed him every time he called himself single at dinners. So the woman VP Foster's been chasing for 2 years was married the whole time. Someone describe his face right now. Lesson learned, never trust anyone who claims to be single." The department chat was worse. Trevor sent 15 exclamation points and a kneeling emoji. "Brother Sebastian, I salute you. Most convincing undercover operative I've ever known. Someone else, nominate him for an acting award." Another, "Does this mean the boss can come to our dinners now?" Sebastian typed back, "Get back to work." Then sent a small digital cash gift labeled hush money. 10 people snatched it in seconds. The largest amount claimed was $3.20. Trevor, who'd grabbed it, replied, "I've taken the money, but my mouth remains unsealed." Sebastian powered off his phone and went back to his proposal. Outside, the afternoon sun caught the glass of the building across the street, scattering light like crushed gold. He thought back to the warmth of Elena leaning against his shoulder the night before. To that morning, before either of them left for work, when she'd stood at the entryway fixing her collar and he'd wrapped his arms around her from behind, chin in the curve of her neck. "Let go. I'll be late. Does a minute late get your pay docked? I'm the CEO. No one docks my pay. Then there's no rush. Sebastian. Let go, or you're sleeping on the couch tonight." He'd let go, but as she turned, he'd tilted his head, lips grazing the edge of her ear, light as a dragonfly skimming water. Her steps had faltered for exactly 1 beat before she picked up her bag and left without looking back, heels a full tempo faster than usual. He'd stood there smiling for a long while after the door closed. Life carried on, but everything had changed. No more hiding, no more pretending to be strangers in the hallway, no more silence in the face of someone else's pursuit. That afternoon, an unmarked box appeared on his desk, tied with a silver ribbon, a sleek, understated wristwatch with an alligator leather strap and a white gold case, and a card in sharp, cool handwriting. "Congratulations. From today, you are officially Mr. Vance." Received the watch, he texted. It's too expensive. You're worth it. Are you just showing off our relationship now? Problem with that? None. Then put it on. Already wearing it. Trevor caught sight of it walking past and nearly dropped his coffee. "Brother Sebastian, is that, who gave you that?" Sebastian glanced up, and Trevor understood immediately. Right. "Sorry to bother you," he said, backing away, muttering about the wealth gap. At 5:45, Sebastian shut down his computer and grabbed his coat. Colleagues in the hallway greeted him as usual, though something in the way they looked at him now was different, not deference to the CEO's husband, but a quiet respect for what he'd actually built. In 3 years, without anyone knowing who he really was, he'd made project manager entirely on his own merit, best team of the quarter twice, customer satisfaction rankings among the top 3 in the company. He'd never needed anyone else's light. He'd been the light the whole time, simply hidden in shadow until now. The elevator carried him to the parking level, where Elena was already leaning against the car, phone in hand. "Let's go." Waiting for me. Happened to be heading the same way. From the 32nd floor to the garage counts as the same way now. She didn't answer, just opened the driver's door. Getting in or not? He slid into the passenger seat. Her hands rested on the wheel a moment before she turned to look at him. "From now on, we commute together every day. You're not riding that scooter anymore. It's eco-friendly. You're the CEO's husband." Like a low-profile, practical man. She couldn't fully suppress the curve of her mouth as she started the engine, easing into the dense evening traffic, headlights merging into a river of gold. Soft music drifted from the speakers. He reclined his seat and watched her drive, streetlights alternating light and shadow across her profile, the clean line of her jaw, the straight bridge of her nose. "What are you staring at? You haven't had enough of me looking." "I've been looking for 3 years. Still not enough." Her fingers tightened almost imperceptibly on the wheel, ears coloring faintly pink again. She didn't answer, but she quietly lowered the air conditioning by 2 degrees. He noticed, and said nothing, only smiled. Outside, the city lights flickered on one after another, 10,000 homes across the skyline, and they were driving toward one of them, where fresh ribs waited, not yet cooked into something sweet and sour, where a crayon rabbit still sat on the refrigerator door, not yet wiped away, where a marriage certificate lay carefully kept in a drawer, white characters on a red background, the weight of 3 years and the length of a lifetime. Sebastian closed his eyes, not because he was tired, but because he was at peace. "Wake me when we get there," he said. "Okay." The car carried them through the intersection, through the traffic, through 3 years of secrets and into everything the future would hold, open now, in the light. The road ahead was clear.